All right, welcome to a very, very special episode of Inappropriate Earl. Tonight, this is Sunday night, 9 p.m. late night podcast. I got two of my good buds, two soldiers in the comedy world, two comrades in the jungles of LA comedy. We've been through the wars together, and we'll quit together too, probably. We got the great comic Cole Young in the house.
Oh, thank you, Earl. That's nice of you. Good
and
to be here.
A guy who goes by many names online. Dickhead on the old Chuckle Monkey boards. I think he was a few other names on various comedy bulletin boards, always raising a stink. Undercover in the darkness of the comedy underbelly on the internet, Mr. Chris Ramirez.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, good to see you guys,
Yes,
man.
It's good to be here. You know what?
Very good.
Cole was just talking about how he'd never been here before, and then I remember one of the first times that I came here. We were there was a place called Revolver, I think, and we were doing comedy over there. Remember that? There's a gay bar over there called Revolver. And,
Oh yeah.
And Dixon Matthews was with us, and he said, "Hey, I need to go back to your house and use the restroom." And he came back. And he took a big mean shit.
No class
Yeah.
as usual.
And Earl's like, "I can't believe it," because this is when he was really big and heavy, man. You know.
Yeah, I mean, he was up in that third toilet room sweating. I mean, just looked like he had he looked like the Ultimate Warrior at his Hall of Fame speech. Just
Oh, no.
looked like he had jaundice or something. And I open up I'm doing whatever I got to do down here, and I go up there and just it stunk so bad, man. Just
Big dicks.
Yeah, big dicks who, we
right.
don't really, that's the bummer about comedy. It's like you start doing other rooms and circuits, you don't run into your boys. And
Hey, listen, because speaking of that, we've been meaning to ask you, have you seen Eddie Jarvis?
Fast Eddie Jarvis, another guy. For those of you listening in podcast land, we're going to mention a lot of names you probably have never heard of, and that's fine. Eddie Jarvis, funny comic. I think he was on roids at one point. Because he got pretty big there
He
for
did.
a while.
Oh, yeah.
He
He
got
was
big,
bulking
real-
up.
Yeah.
He
I
was
mean, like, I'm a big guy, but I wasn't Jarvis style, so he may have been on the GH.
And it happened really fast,
Yeah.
too. It was just like 1 minute he was just kind of almost thin. And then the next thing you know, it was just like
Yeah, Eddie's
Masters of the Universe or something.
yeah,
like that.
Dolph Lundgren or Barry DeMay, the flexing Dutchman for you late 80s bodybuilding freakers. Because I don't know who. Now, you guys have a great podcast called Goodnight Universe.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
And it's really fun. And you guys can you can call into your show. And,
Right.
and,
Yes, you do. Thank you for doing that.
You
by
have
the
great
way.
guests.
You've been on the show.
You're
I've been on the
one of
show.
my
The
favorites.
lovely
You-
Gail Gramlich.
Gail's been there. She did a really good show, man.
Yeah,
She's
great.
she's on top of it.
You know what? She did a
She's
really good
fun.
show because she's really honest, and she
You know-
laid into some stories about how she had been conned into things and stuff. Like she told us she went to some beauty. It was a cruise, and they were gonna select people to be models or something like that. And she went on that, and
Sounds like a gig I wonder about. No, she's really smart, and we're back. I mean, a lot of people are concerned about bringing her name up around me, and there have been some nights where I thought OJ had a point. But we're back in the fold, and
are you
talking? We're talking.
okay.
Not about getting back together. I just mean we're civil.
Yeah, because I know you guys are doing shows together and stuff like that, and so I mean, and so that's great that you guys can still get along and stuff. So that's really cool.
Well,
Yeah.
because I've seen a few relationships in the comedy world. Once the people break up, it's like, you fucking cunt. And,
Oh yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, like
we had a guest on the other night who had a story about that where he was dating another comic, and
Chris
then-
Neff.
No, he was dating. It was Steve Zerbowski.
I don't know.
He was going out with somebody, and
Zarbalis.
Zarbalis.
Yeah.
When I say Zerbowski.
Yeah.
The Big Lebowski.
Great Lebowski. Yeah, Zarbalis. Right. And I guess they broke up, and then the other person, I guess, went on Facebook and was a little bit mean.
No. What happened was it was a crazy story. They broke up, but they were still kind of friends. And then she tagged herself in this picture with him.
That's what it was.
And then
yes.
he had already started seeing this other girl. So he tells the first girl, "Hey, do you mind if you don't tag me in that picture?" And she's like, "What? So you're embarrassed that we were together?" Just a big guilt trip like that. And then meanwhile, the other girl's like, "Who the fuck is that girl?"
Yeah.
So just get it from both ends and stuff.
Both ends.
Yeah. So no comedy. I wouldn't want to date another comedian because they'd be like, "Oh, this guy sucked and bad, and he's just this little dick," and just like that. That's what I would expect.
Well, luckily for me, I got a pretty big dick, so I think I've been favorably reviewed by.
Yeah, exactly. In comedy, everybody knows that, at least in Southern California.
Well, that and the cell phone pic I showed everybody. Because I had a friend of mine, Jeff Richards, who I think you guys might know him.
Yeah.
He's on Saturday Night Live, Mad TV, only comic to be on both.
Right.
And he, I don't think Gail will mind me saying this, but he sends me a text one night saying, "Hey, what did Gail's pussy look like?" And I'm like, "That's kind of rude. Like, I would never text you that about your woman or if whoever you're boning at Whole Foods." So I took a dick pic. And I said about like this, and then he showed it to the manager of the Improv. And I started getting spots at the Improv all of a sudden. And then it made these two girls put it on Instagram. And then, so.
Did you get tagged in the picture?
Oh, yeah. They know what time it is. So. But, yeah, it's tough. I've seen a lot of relationships in comedy.
Now, was it just out or was it doing?
Oh, it was out and about.
It wasn't doing like one of it, like the bat
I was
swing.
about 40%.
But you weren't doing any tricks like the wristwatch or the
No, this was called the Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Oh.
It was leaning hard.
Man, the
Nice.
the stories of you, Earl, they're like legendary. And when you talk to people, they go, "Hey, did you ever see Earl pull out his dick?" And people go, "Oh my God, one time I looked over there and I think who was it? I think Tracy Silver. She thinks she told us sometimes. She goes, "I just looked over and I was like, whoa, what's that?"
Pretty good for a white guy. I mean, Tracy's seen those big black hogs.
I always tell people that when I met you that one time we just started. I think it was the first night we did comedy at Michael's Pub. And it's this place over there in North Hollywood. And so we were like hanging out afterwards and we're just talking at the pool table. And there's two old ladies, man, they gotta be like 55, 60 years old, drunk ladies. They're hanging out there and they're like, "Man, what you guys do is so amazing. You guys have so much courage. I don't know how you guys do that." And then you just go, "Watch this." And you pulled your dick out of your pants and it was just sticking out. And then you go, "Oh, you're so sweet." And you're just hugging that lady. She's giving you a hug.
Yeah.
And then the other lady's giving you a hug. And they had no idea you had your dick out and you were just hugging them like that. It was so funny, man.
Those dumb twats. I mean, who goes to Michael's Pub in North Hollywood, which is the modern day version of the cantina in Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Every unsavory character in the valley goes there. If you get shit-faced there, you deserve to get my dick rubbed against you.
What's the scariest places that you've done comedy at?
Michael's Pub.
Is that the scariest one of all?
Let me
The
see.
Steel Pit. What about that?
I
Steel Pit
didn't
was-
think the Steel Pit was that scary.
I mean, it was just kind of like the last time I was there. Now, the Steel Pit is a Pittsburgh Steelers bar in Tujunga.
Right, closed by the way. You'll be happy about
Really?
that. Yeah.
Good.
shut it
I
down.
mean, fuck that place. I mean, I was there and these two guys in the back going, "You suck."
Yeah, well, one guy mostly. One
Well,
guy.
they probably were in agreement, I would say. But then, I think I gave that drunk slob
The lady you gave, there's a lady with huge tits,
huge
drunk.
cans, and she's like, "Can you give me a ride?" And I thought, "Oh, you're drunk. I'll give you a ride home." And then I'm like, "Well, where do you want to go?" She's like, "Oh, Hank's Bar down the street." I mean,
Yeah.
she's like going from bar to bar.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, "You need alcohol, like Hulk Hogan needs a tan." So I took her there, and
You just dropped her off?
I just dropped her
off. She didn't
off.
ask you, hey.
She asked me for my number, and like she wanted to cook me food, and then she asked me where I lived, and I'm like, I'm good. I'll see you on the flip side.
You should have given her Cole's address. You should have Cole's address with a big old pot of
pot brownies. Oh yeah, beans, rice and beans.
Oh,
you remember her, Cole?
I do remember. I don't remember her very specifically.
She's the older, drunk lady.
Not horrible looking, but definitely a bar lizard.
Yeah, Prime was probably 20 years ago.
No,
or something
Tahunga
like that.
is. When I first moved up there, I was amazed.
You see a lot of women in Los Angeles where they're prime. You can tell that 20 years ago, man, they were probably like turning heads, and they were never able to parlay that into anything better. Now they're just these drunk chicks that still have the attitude, but not the same looks and everything.
We could still see that at the Rainbow on Saturday
Oh yeah,
nights.
yes.
Where you could literally see like, Axl Rose to your left, and then an Axl Rose impersonator to your right, and then a girl who looks like Axl Rose at your table, probably.
By the way, thank you. That was a great recommendation, a place to eat on Sunset. They really do have good food over there.
The Rainbow?
Yes.
Oh, Rainbow is if you're ever in LA or you live here and you haven't gone there because you're like, well, it's the 80s, it's an 80s bar,
Right.
It's probably. First of all, I think it's owned by the mob, and that's no joke.
Really?
If you ever, there's never fights there. No one gets into fights there because you just know it's not the place to mouth off to. I mean, look at the guy who seats you. He looks like Ray Liotta in Goodfellas.
Right. Yeah.
And I used to go there a lot, but they fired all the waitresses I liked. So.
Oh man.
And there's a great bartender in the middle bar who looks like Elvira. She's probably still there. And Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff for him over there, like on the wall and everything.
Well, he's like the Archie Bunker of that place. He just plays his video poker in the outside bar. If you ever want to meet him, you just go up to him. And, he's not the most approachable guy, but he'll say hello to you and shake your hand and basically tell you to beat it.
Do you ever tell? Have you ever told your audience the story of the first time you met Motorhead?
First of all.
When the guy kicked you?
Oh, well, that wasn't really the first
that was the first time?
I mean, I had known them, my ex-girlfriend, the great Shelly B. I don't think she likes her last name being used on these type of shows. She still to this day, I think, co-manages Motorhead.
Right.
With the great Todd Singerman Entertainment.
They were at Coachella.
I know. I wanted to go just to see how that would go over. I mean, Motorhead is not a typical Coachella band.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I sent Shelly a message and I said, "Hey, is there any way?" And I asked her about a month ago, and she said, "I'm not sure. We'll see," or whatever like that. And I said, "Well, this sounds like maybe it might be too much of a hassle." So I said, "I'll just forget it." But yeah, I'd be curious to see how they went out there. But anyway, so you had already met them before, but you were just meeting them again or something like that.
But I mean, Motorhead's kind of a hipster. Like they're like almost anti. Like they're like the complete opposite of Kiss.
Right, exactly.
So I would think that Coachella fans might not, they might take a liking to them.
That'd be great.
It'd be good for them.
Who's headlining Coachella this year? Who's
I think the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and no, I'm just kidding.
I just saw a story about Vinnie Vincent in Yahoo the other day.
Yeah,
and they were talking about him, and he lives in Tennessee. And that he doesn't answer any mail. And
he's crazy.
They say he's like a total recluse and everything. And then they were talking about how when he was in Kiss that he wanted to play these long, crazy guitar solos and everything like that. And Gene and Paul get really mad, and they would say like, "This isn't really what this band is about." And that's kind of. But they said it was really good.
Well, I mean, that's the version that Gene and Paul have splurted out. He basically. Rescue their careers.
Yeah, that's kind of what the article said too. Yeah.
I mean, if you think back, for those of us old enough to be in, I think all three of us are in. We probably remember the early '80s. I mean, Kiss was on death's door in America.
Oh yeah.
Because they hit it big with the disco album.
I Was Made for Love.
Dynasty.
Yeah.
Desmond Child wrote that. A lot of rumors about Desmond Child and Paul Stanley being like a little more than co-writers.
No way.
I mean, Desmond Child's very open about his homosexuality.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if you ever, if you want one of the best box sets ever, please get the Desmond Child box set, because not only did this guy write a lot of Kiss's '80s hits, all of Bon Jovi's hits, Joan Jett,
Really?
all of Aerosmith's hits,
Oh wow.
Ricky Martin. He wrote all of Ricky Martin's hits.
Does he live in Malibu?
No, I think he lives in Nashville, where Vinnie Vincent is.
Ah.
They should get together.
Oh, interesting. Because
So-
we were talking about how the guys that write the songs are the ones that make all the money and stuff.
Well, I think that was Vinny's issue. Like, he wrote a few songs on Creatures of the Night, and that album kind of not flopped, but it didn't do that great. And then they take off the makeup, and he basically wrote, I think, 9 of the 10 songs on Lick It Up. It was
yeah.
really a Vinnie Vincent album,
Right.
and he was getting paid like $500 a week.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's typical Kiss, man. That doesn't surprise me.
So then he was like, well, I'm not going to sign the contract that just makes me an indentured servant to you guys. I want to be a full member. And they were like, no, this is Kiss. This is our band. So that's... But they kept bringing him back. Like, he got kicked out of Kiss like 3 different times. And then he, forms the Vinnie Vincent Invasion.
Right.
And then he gets kicked out of the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, which is fucking insane. I mean, I've never heard of that.
Kicked out of your own band.
And then he just kind of, flustered around for, I bought his box set, which was on cassette, which should have been a clue that maybe this isn't above board. And he sent it in this pink guitar case. There was no fucking cassettes in the thing. It was an empty box.
There was a story. There was a story. There was, there was an accusation that he had some merchandise or whatever, and he didn't deliver on it and stuff.
Well, but then he put out a 4-song EP called Euphoria. I said, I'll give him a second chance. I'll buy it. And it's like, I forget what the deal was, but if you bought it early, you'd get like an autographed picture. So I buy it early, of course. I get the package in the mail. The CD's autographed. I got like 6 autographed pictures. The folder that came in was autographed. I mean, he had a lot of fucking time on his hands. They were all autographed to me.
I'm sure he didn't write you a letter. Dear Earl, I'm sitting here in Nashville looking out the window.
So, I mean, and then he put out something called Speedball Jam, which might be the most brilliant CD ever made because it's just 71 minutes of him doodling. And if you try and fast forward to the next song, it goes to the end. Like, you have to listen to the whole album.
Oh, wow.
He forces you.
Oh, interesting.
So.
Man, I wonder how many of these guys that from these really shitty bands, like, you've actually saved from, like, a foreclosure or, like a missed car payment or something like that. It's like, they're like, oh, man, I only need $25 more to make the rent, and then your order comes in.
Where's Skakel? I say,
box set.
I'm surprised they don't just call you up and say like, "Hey Earl, listen, we were thinking about doing this new album, and if you can send us $25, we'll send it to you first." Oh, okay, checks in the mail, just.
Well, I wanted to do that with Quiet Riot because they had a Kickstarter, which is online panhandling.
Yes,
basically.
I agree with you 100%.
And it was, the way Kickstarter works, it's like, well, for $10 you get an autographed Quiet Riot script. And, well, for $100 you get an autographed, script and plus a digital download of the movie. And then for $10,000, you could actually be in the documentary. And one guy, you could see the amount of donations.
Yes.
Like 5 people donated 100. One guy donated $10,000. So the next hour, I started a Kickstarter to do a documentary on the guy who donated $10,000.
Nice.
I mean, it's like, that's crazy to me that you could just donate $10,000 and be a part of the documentary about a band. I mean, you should be. You should have something to do with the fucking band.
They'll just work you into a lie. This is an old high school friend.
Yeah. This is this is Frankie Benally's cousin.
I hate.
Hey, I have a question now. You're also famed for your hockey jersey collection.
Well, I'm selling them all now.
You're
No
selling
way.
them all?
I don't wear them anymore. They just take up space. I mean, I sold like a couple of really nice. Basically, a Zdeno Chara rookie jersey. That name probably doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but he's the tallest player in the league, the hardest slap shot. He's about
Oh.
6'9",
Wow.
Jeez.
like 280 pounds. But his rookie jersey for the Islanders was made. They didn't know how big he was, and there'd never been a player this size in the league. Usually most players were around mine and Chris's size, your
Right.
size. His jersey was literally made from 3 different jerseys because they ran out of room. And like the sleeves were like, from 2 different jerseys. And so I sold that jersey for a nice profit, and that bought the podcast gear.
Oh, wow.
Bought the mixer, the mics, the
Excellent.
Way to go,
also-
man.
I
Yeah.
mean, when you guys knew me when I first started, I wanted to stand out a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah, no, that was like your calling.
Are there
man.
certain ones that you will not part with?
Well, I mean, if I could keep one, I would keep the New York or Buffalo Sabres jersey. The first pro sporting event after 9/11 was the Rangers and Sabres played a game at Madison Square Garden. And long story short, if you like hockey, the Buffalo Sabres logo is like an angry Sabres head. But for this game, they wore New York cross. And the guy whose jersey I won got into a fight, Eric Bolton.
So it's got blood.
So it had blood on it.
Nice.
And the best was for a month and a half, they auctioned them off for to go to the firefighters and the policemen and
Right.
anyone who died in the towers that day. So they made no replicas of these jerseys. It was just 20 Ranger jerseys, 20 Sabres jerseys. They took them immediately after the game and just threw them in a pile until the auction was done, unwashed.
Oh, wow.
Unwashed. So you had 40 hockey jerseys sitting unwashed
Oh.
in probably the corner of probably the Rangers locker room.
Right.
So the auction takes place. So about 2 months later, I get the jersey. Literally had been sitting in that pile for 2 months, and I was so excited to wear it to a show that night. I wore it, and Christy Miller, I don't know if you guys knew her, kind of looked like Joan Jett. She moved to New York. She's an awesome comic and really good friend of mine. She hugs me, and she's like, "Oh my God, you fucking stink." And it was the jersey. It smelled pretty bad. Even Shelly was like, "Yeah, Earl, you stink." So I had to wash it like 3 times to get the BO out of it.
Speaking of stink, who are the 5 smelliest comics that you've been around?
That's tough. I mean, there's like so many guys with just bad BO. I don't want to say names. I mean, the number one by far and away is a really good friend of mine. He's a good dude, and I know he listens to the show, and he probably knows who I'm talking about. I mean, you can't have although Lemmy has not the greatest funk to him.
I heard about you. You told me that he's has
I mean, I think his nasal passages have basically been blown out from various things, and
so he doesn't even smell anything. He doesn't even.
I don't think he gives a shit. And then I took him to the dentist one day about 9 a.m. I said, Lemma, first of all, I pick him up at like 8:30 in the morning, and you guys know me, I'm not a morning guy, so I pick him up. We make a left on the Sunset. He's like, "Hey, can we stop by Turner's Liquor?" I mean, 9 a.m. This guy, and he buys a couple beers, and he's like, "Do you want one?" There's no container. He just wants me to start. And I said, "Lem, I don't drink, but thank you." And so I take him to the dentist, and he's a lot of work done that day. I mean, the whole deal.
Oh man.
And about 5 p.m., I pick him up, and the whole office smelled like him. I mean, it was like a BO fog.
We had that same thing when I think you were at that show with us too. When we went to go see Motorhead at Anaheim over there at the House of Blues over there, and we went downstairs because we were like kind of in the back and then around the area and
Right.
stuff. And then we said we want to go down to the actual floor and see what it's like over there. And as soon as we opened that door, it just smelled like ass, man. It was just the worst smell. And my brother was the one that told me about it. He opened it. He goes, "Oh man, you have to come smell it. This is the worst thing you ever smelled in your life." And then I said, "Oh, I gotta smell it now." And then I go and I was like, "Whoa!" It's just like it was just the worst BO ass smell I've ever smelled. It just like overcome me, like just like that. And then I told Shelly about it, and she goes, "Oh, it's probably just Lemmy."
Yeah. Well, it's funny that the worst smelling show I've ever been to was at the Anaheim House of Blues with Shelley. I forced her to, who was it? It was L.A. Guns, Stephen Piercy, and Wasp. And we ate dinner at the House of Blues, and
forgot about them.
L.A. Guns was on. I wasn't like a big, just like a couple of their songs, so I was there to see Piercy, and I opened that same door to go to the bottom floor, and a Wallabio hit me like mustard gas. And then Wasp came on, I don't know, singing something about dirty balls or whatever their hits were. Yeah. So
I miss them, man. I was really sad that they didn't. They were supposed to go to that Rocklahoma, that first one that you and I went to.
Wasp?
Yes, they were supposed to be there, and then they pulled out like at the very end and stuff. And I was looking forward to them being there. I would like to see them again.
Well, they probably couldn't take the fucking mic stand that Blackie Lawless uses. He's got like this crazy, like he did at the time. I guess it's like 1,000-pound, literally 1,000-pound mic stand where it almost looks like a motorcycle, and he gets on it and he rocks back and forth, and he's the mic is in the middle,
right.
Most venues couldn't even fucking fit. Like at the House of Blues,
stage would collapse.
It literally took up probably 25% of the stage.